At the wedding, my boyfriend's eldest aunt made vulgar jokes to me. We have a custom here. The bride has to sit on her father-in-law's lap to serve tea, and also call him husband. His relatives on his side chimed in. Some people even jeered and asked me to kiss my father-in-law. Looking at their arrogant appearance, this is clearly giving me a warning. I made a phone call to my parents. Dad, you, Mom, and our relatives come and pick me up quickly. I can't get married. Alex's whole family asked me to call his dad husband. If you don't come quickly, the next step is for me to sleep with his dad. After saying this, the originally noisy crowd suddenly fell silent. After 6 years of being in love, Alex and I officially entered the marriage hall today. Just when everything was proceeding according to the process, Alex's eldest aunt Clara said, Alex is the only male heir of our old Zhang family for 3 generations. After you enter the family, you must give birth to 3 chubby sons for our family. Hearing this, I was extremely annoyed. In what era is it now? Still insisting on having sons. Can having a son give you a resurrection armor or make you rich overnight? Not to mention 3 sons. Can you raise them for me or buy cars and houses for them? Your family has a hard time raising just one. Considering that she is an elder and today is also my big day. I didn't want to make it too ugly, and who would have thought that this would lead to their whole families pushing their luck, and thinking that I am a soft person and easy to manipulate. The wedding process came to the final tea serving and name-changing session. I held the tea with both hands and respectfully shouted, Dad, Mom, please have some tea. My mother-in-law sat on the stool, picking at her nails. She looked up at me condescending as if giving alms. And there was disdain in her eyes. As time passed minute by minute, the atmosphere at the scene began to become awkward. They still didn't take the tea. My arms started to ache. Finally, she was willing to open her golden mouth. The rule in our family is that only after giving birth to a son can you marry in. If it weren't for my son insisting on marrying you no matter what, do you really think you can marry in? In case you are destined to give birth to girls, wouldn't our family suffer a great loss? After entering the family, you get up at 5 a.m. to cook for the whole family. After coming back from work, you immediately do laundry and cook. You must give birth to a grandson for us next year. Did you hear that? Before I even enter the family, they are already setting rules for me. Do they really think they are emperors? I didn't tolerate it either. I threw the tea on the ground. And then came the sound of the teacup breaking. Drink it if you want. I won't serve you anymore. At worst, I won't get married. I didn't come to your family to be a slave. Alex saw my anger and hugged me, saying nice things nonstop. He said that his mom is just tough talking, but soft-hearted and didn't mean to embarrass me on purpose. She just wanted to show off as a mother-in-law in front of her relatives. He asked me to understand and played the emotional card again, recounting the hardships of our many years of being in love. So I softened my heart and thought that in the future, I definitely wouldn't live with his parents. Alex handed me the tea again and asked me to serve tea. I took it and casually placed the tea on the coffee table in front of them. It's impossible for me to serve tea respectfully again. After all, even a clay figurine has a bit of a temper. Seeing my perfunctory attitude, Mother Zhang slapped the coffee table hard. Good. Before you even enter the family, you dare to treat elders like this. I have to teach you a good lesson today. Suddenly Clara grabbed my arm and praised that I am very beautiful and have a good figure. It's not a loss for our Xiaozu to be with me. Before I could think carefully about the meaning of this sentence, she changed the topic and made vulgar jokes to me. We have a custom here. The bride has to sit on her father-in-law's lap to serve tea and also call him husband. The more she said, the more excessive it became. She said that the rule here is that the father-in-law has to inspect the goods for his son first. Being close to the father-in-law is beneficial for family harmony in the future and so on. Then, when I wasn't on guard, she pushed me on to Father Zhang. He leered at me and put his arm around my waist. His left hand moved upward and wanted to reach out and touch my chest. Thanks to wearing high heels today, I stomped on his foot hard. So he didn't succeed. He let go of me in pain and called me a bitch, saying that he would show me who's boss sooner or later. I walked up to Alex and slapped him. Are you deaf or blind? Didn't you see your dad's lecherous and wretched appearance? He didn't defend me at all. Instead, he frowned and said impatiently, "What's wrong with my dad hugging you? Do you have to overreact so much? Since you married me, you are a member of my old Zhang family. Can't you be more sensible? Don't always make a fuss over trifles." I was amused by his stupid logic. His aunt and his dad were being lewd, and he didn't dare to say a word. Instead, he blamed me for being unreasonable and making a fuss. As long as there is a normal person in the family, no one would say such shameless words. It can be seen that their family is completely rotten to the core. Some people who like to watch the excitement and don't think it's a big deal started jeering. The bride kisses her father-in-law. Everyone. Is it good? Others clapped and chimed in. Kiss one. Hearing this, Father Shane was so happy that he showed his big yellow teeth that didn't know how long they hadn't been brushed. He stared at me lewdly, and there was also a strong stench coming from his mouth. It was simply extremely disgusting. I threw my bouquet of flowers hard at Alex. What's wrong with you? This flower cost 198 yuan. Hearing the price, Mother Zhang immediately stood up in pain and pointed at my head and scolded. Which wife is as delicate as you? Buying such an expensive flower. I said it would be fine to just pick some foxtails in front of the door. What a sin. My family has married a prodigal wife. Alex lovingly supported his mom and scolded me together, saying that he would beat me up after the wedding to teach me a lesson. Clara said in a sarcastic tone. Look. Before you even enter the family, you dare to show a bad attitude to your in-laws. You have to remember that men are your heaven. Alex is your husband. His words are imperial edicts. You must obey. Considering that you still don't understand our family rules, you can be forgiven this time. However, your dowry given by your parents must be handed over to us for safekeeping. By the way, your house must be transferred to Alex's name. There is no house under a woman's name. If I don't give birth to a son for his family within a year, Alex can find another woman to have a child. Since I am not fertile enough, I will have to reimburse all the expenses for the mistress's prenatal checkups. And I will also have to take care of her during her confinement. She also said that I am not allowed to go back to my parents' home in the future and I cannot support my parents. But my parents' cars, houses, and all properties must be left for Alex to inherit in the future. Really like a toad pretending to be a frog. Ugly and playing tricks. She dares to think and say anything. Yes, if you want to marry my son, you must hand everything over. My son doesn't want you. I see who else dares to marry you. You second-hand woman. Mother Zhang immediately became proud as if it were such an honor for me to marry into their family. This also made me realize Alex's true face today. Looking at their arrogant appearance. Trying to manipulate me? Dream on. I made a phone call to my parents. Dad. You. Mom. And our relatives come and pick me up quickly. I can't get married. Alex's whole family wants me to engage in incest with his dad. If you don't come quickly, the next step is for me to sleep with his dad. After saying this, the originally noisy crowd suddenly fell silent. You. What are you talking nonsense? Hurry up and tell them you were just talking nonsense. Alex angrily snatched my phone and threw it on the ground. For Alex and I are college classmates. We had a good impression of each other during military training. After that, he chased me for 2 months. And finally we established a relationship. 2 years after graduating from college, our relationship and work were stable. We were not young anymore. On Valentine's Day, he proposed to me. At that time, I thought I was the happiest girl in the world. Unexpectedly, various problems emerged one after another during the wedding preparation period. His parents said that they are just poor workers. Providing Alex with college education has already spent all the family's money. There is no money for a car, a house, or a betrothal gift. My parents were very angry and felt that his family didn't care about me at all. But I, who was blinded by love, thought that these were not problems as long as two people truly love each other. During this period, Alex would come to my house every few days to play chess with my dad. He also helped my mom with housework. He even promised in front of my parents that he would never let me suffer any injustice after marriage. My parents changed their opinion of him, coupled with my determined appearance of not marrying anyone but him. They finally agreed to this marriage. They couldn't bear for us to live in a rented house after marriage. So they simply bought me a 120 square meter hardcover house. The furniture was also arranged. We could move in directly with our bags. They also gave me an additional 200 yuan as dowry as the startup capital for our small family. Now thinking about it, how ridiculous all this is. Their family is just planning to take advantage of our family. 5. I am not someone to be bullied either. I raised my hand and slapped him hard twice. I also overturned the table and poured the boiling hot water from the teapot on them. They screamed in pain from being scalded. My dad is a taekwondo coach. I started practicing with him when I was 3 years old. I am stronger than ordinary girls. In an instant, his face swelled up and blood oozed from the corner of his mouth. When Alex's mom saw that I had hit her precious son, she was so angry that she came up and pulled my hair. I kicked her away. Immediately, I picked up a fruit knife from the coffee table to defend myself. No one dared to take a step forward. 15 minutes later, my parents and relatives arrived. When I explained the whole story clearly, their faces turned livid. My dad went up and slapped Alex again. This is how you promised not to let her be wronged. I was really blind to agree to this marriage. He held an iron rod and wanted to beat him. But I and my mom stopped him. Obviously, at this moment, my dad had murderous intentions. I don't want my dad to spend the rest of his life in prison because of him. It's not worth it. My mom and the female relatives in the family smashed everything that could be smashed in the room. Someone wanted to stop them. But then they saw my dad standing in front of the door with an iron rod in his hand. They didn't dare to take a step forward. Later, my mom grabbed Clara's hair, making her scream in pain. How dare you bully my daughter? I won't let you go. My dad somehow found a homeless man who gave off a stench. My mom pushed her onto the homeless man in the same way. The homeless man immediately hugged her tightly. And his hands were also not honest as they groped on her body. Clara resisted with all her might, and pleaded in a begging tone that she knew she was wrong. But it was too late. Wasn't it? She desperately tried to break free by punching. But the homeless man was too strong, and she couldn't break free at all. The homeless man showed his only 3 big yellow teeth and grinned stupidly with saliva flowing. Wife. Woman. Fragrant. Soft. She was so disgusted that she rolled her eyes. My mom shouted and asked everyone to quickly take pictures of her looking so happy. Seeing this scene, I was relieved. You don't know the pain until the knife falls on you. Now you can enjoy it well. Mother Zhang was frightened by my mom's fighting power, and stammered to explain. Dear in-laws, we were just joking with Coco. Who knew this child took it seriously? Meaning I am petty-minded. Now they know to apologize to me and promise to treat me like their own daughter in the future. Son, quickly help mom beg for mercy. Mom didn't mean it. Enough is enough. Don't go too far. It was just a joke. Why are you so petty-minded? Hurry up and tell your parents to stop. If you don't kneel down and apologize to my family later, don't even think that I will still marry you. I really want to dissect his head and see what's inside. Until now, he can still say such stupid and self-righteous words. I raised my hand and slapped him again. I haven't exercised for a long time. I feel like my strength has weakened. 6. My dad is 1.6 meters tall and weighs 210 pounds. He walked towards them. Father Zhang was so scared that his face turned pale. He quickly distanced himself from the matter, shouting that all this had nothing to do with him. It was all Clara and his wife's idea. He is also a victim. He definitely wouldn't make such demands that violate ethics. My dad paused and looked coldly at Mother Zhang. He's talking nonsense. Listen to me explain. She stammered and tried to defend herself. But she couldn't say anything coherent. Clara finally managed to break free from the homeless man. When she heard that Father Zhang had betrayed her, she cursed like a shrew. Damn thing. When something happens, you push the responsibility onto me. Damn you. It was you who said that seeing your daughter-in-law's big chest makes you itchy. Mother Zhang also joined in this scolding. The three of them started a dogfight and pushed the responsibility onto each other. Seeing that the situation was not right, Alex stepped forward to dissuade them. Unexpectedly, the situation was so intense that they directly started fighting. The scene was extremely chaotic. He looked at the crowd with pleading eyes, hoping that someone would pull them apart. However, everyone didn't want to get involved and avoided his eyes one by one. There was no way. He had to pull them himself. As a result, he was accidentally injured by Father Zhang's elbow. In an instant, a bump rose on his forehead. Clara grabbed Mother Zhang's hair and scolded them for being ungrateful. Dream on if they think she will take the blame when something happens. Mother Zhang was not to be outdone and bit her arm. And blood oozed out. Father Zhang was scratched all over his face by the two women. He took the opportunity to take off his shoe and throw it at Clara. The family who used to be affectionate has now become enemies. It's really ridiculous. The new daughter-in-law of the old Zhang family is a disaster. On the wedding day, she provoked her parents-in-law and aunt-in-law to fight. In the future, she must be a short-lived ghost. If she were my daughter-in-law, I would have to break her legs. A wife who is not filial to her parents-in-law should go to hell. I frowned and followed the sound. It was an old lady in her 60s or 70s. She was looking at me contemptuously and uttering the most malicious words to curse me. She didn't expect me to hear it. She pretended to be calm and acted as if she hadn't said anything. My dad shouted in a loud voice. Speak louder. Don't be as annoying as a mosquito buzzing. She trembled all over. Her lips trembled. But in the end, she didn't dare to speak again. My dad stared at her motionless lie. Didn't you like to talk? Why don't you continue? Obviously. I saw fine beads of sweat oozing from her forehead. A teenager's voice beside her trembled a little as he explained that his grandma didn't mean any harm. Don't take it too hard with an old person like her. Oh, he is not old. But he is quite good at playing moral kidnapping. My daughter will definitely live a long life. Some old ladies who love to gossip probably won't live until tomorrow. Isn't that right? Kid? The teenager's face stiffened. Under the pressure of my dad, he could only force an awkward smile. He motioned for the old lady to apologize to me. She narrowed her inverted triangle eyes and distaphonially pursed her lips. Girl, I just talked too fast. You young people don't take it to heart with an old woman like me. I have high blood pressure and heart disease. Well, this is clearly a threat to me. If you are sick, don't wander around. Otherwise, if you have an attack and can't be rescued in time. She was choked by my words and wanted to say something else. But when she saw my dad again, she immediately shut up. The teenager apologized to me on her behalf, and then quickly pulled the old lady away. 7 Looking at this farce in front of me, I feel a bit like crying, and a bit like laughing. My heart is filled with mixed emotions. In my fantasy wedding, I wear a white wedding dress. My father holds my arm and slowly leads me towards him. Solemnly, he places my hand in his. The two of us spend our lives happily together. But reality has taught me a lesson. It makes me understand that marriage is not a matter of two people but a matter of two families. Alex's family seems to be giving me a warning alone. In fact, they are warning my parents. Look, the daughter you have pampered in your hands will have to obey us from now on. They are even trampling on my parents' faces. This also makes me realize that families with different values cannot be married into. But fortunately, they showed their true colors on the wedding day, allowing me to cut my losses in time. If it were after marriage, it would be a disaster. What's more fortunate is the decision to hold the wedding first and then get the marriage certificate. Otherwise, getting a divorce later would require a lot of time and financial resources. Seeing them fighting with each other also gave me a sense of relief. I planned to leave this messy place with my parents. When we reached the door, Alex's younger aunt stopped me. You can call off the wedding. But the 300 yuan betrothal gift must be returned in full. Otherwise, I'll accuse you of marriage fraud. My dad questioned her. Did she witness them giving our family the betrothal gift? She stammered and said that she just knew that Alex's family gave 300 yuan as betrothal gift, and 150 yuan of it was borrowed from their family. Strange. How come I, the person involved, don't know about the betrothal gift? It seems that their family is using me as a cover to borrow money. They didn't give a single penny of the betrothal gift. They didn't even buy me 3 pieces of gold jewelry. If you don't believe me, call the police, and let the police investigate who is lying. Whose pocket did the so-called 300 yuan betrothal gift go into? Just seeing her face change suddenly. She stared blankly and shook her head. She mumbled that I was lying. I still said the same thing. If you don't believe me, call the police. Then I took out my phone and entered the police number in front of her. Now she really believed it. Clara shouted and started fighting with Father Zhang and Mother Zhang again. It was you who complained to me that her family asked for 300 yuan as betrothal gift. That's why I came up with this plan to give her a warning. It turns out that everything was your self-directed and self-acted show. I was afraid that they would blackmail me in the future. So I made everything clear at once. I didn't receive a single penny of the so-called 300 yuan betrothal gift. The money you gave as gifts, I didn't touch it either. It's all in the hands of the Zhang family. Even the banquet at the hotel today was paid for by my parents. My dad said to our relatives that when we go back, we will return the money they gave as gifts. He also said that he was really sorry for making everyone laugh today. The wedding banquet can be regarded as inviting everyone to have a meal. The Zhang family cannot go. After all, the money for the wedding banquet was paid by our family. Odd seeing that I was serious. Alex and his parents panicked. In their plan, today they give me a warning, dampen my spirits, and completely control me. Then step by step, they will occupy my parents' property. Unexpectedly, I am not a soft person. I directly made a phone call to my parents, and called off the wedding neatly. My son has slept with you for 6 years. Do you still think you are a virgin? If you leave my son, who else will marry you? A second-hand woman. All right. I'll give you a way out. Hurry up and get married. I stopped and turned towards Alex. His face was instantly filled with pride. As if to say, look, I knew you couldn't leave me. This time I'll forgive you first. But your dowry must be handed over. And ask your parents to buy me a car. Where does he get the nerve to make demands? It seems that he is still daydreaming. I asked my dad to hold his 2 arms. I reached into his suit pocket, and took out 2 thick red envelopes. He shouted that this was his and asked me to return it. Why did I take it? This is the tea serving and name-changing fee of 10 yuan that my parents gave him. Now that the wedding is not going to happen, this money naturally has to be returned to its original owner. Girl, Dad can support you for a lifetime without any problem. It doesn't matter whether you get married or not. If you look for a partner in the future, open your eyes wide and don't always find some unworthy things like toads and turtles. 9 Just when I thought everything was over, I didn't expect that Alex and his family would still have the nerve to come to me. My college roommate Lily also came with them. Although I lived with her for 4 years in college, our relationship was just so-so. I don't like her way of dealing with people. To put it nicely, she is a good person and a saint. To put it harshly, she is moral kidnapping. At this moment, Alex looked at me affectionately, and said that he knew he was wrong and promised that there would never be a next time. Lily put on a good person's stance and said, "Don't be so petty-minded. He has already apologized to you. Besides, you are not young anymore. You can be considered an older leftover woman. If you don't marry Alex in the future, you can only marry a divorced man who has been married before. You ruin the wedding. If you hold it again, your family has to pay for it. But in my opinion, these ceremonies are all fleeting. Your two families can simply have a meal together, and that can be considered the wedding. She was still chattering on under the guise of being good for me. Mother Zhang nodded in agreement beside her. These words really hit the nail on the head for her. Dear in-laws, the two children have been in a relationship for 6 years. You must also be reluctant to see them break up. As the saying goes, couples fight at the bedside and make up at the end. They can be considered an old married couple. Don't ruin this God-given good relationship because of a momentary impulse. The two of them talked more and more enthusiastically. They praised Alex to the sky and belittled me to the ground. Alex became more and more proud. It seemed that he really felt that he was a remarkable person. Coco. Tomorrow I'll pay and order some barbecue skewers at a barbecue restaurant and bring them to your house to eat. That can be considered our wedding banquet. Don't worry. I'll pay for this. It seems as if my family is taking advantage. Lily asked me to agree quickly and praised Alex for being so considerate. I rolled my eyes at them. Knowing them makes me feel devalued. My mom said coldly, "Go back where you came from." But unfortunately, some people don't understand human language. My mom stopped talking nonsense. She walked into the toilet and brought a mop. She conveniently stuffed the towel used to wipe the toilet into Alex's mouth and drove them out. Lily scolded me for being ungrateful and not worthy of Alex. Such a devoted man. At this moment, I was speechless. I guess Alex didn't tell you the truth. Did he? It's really hard for you to be his lackey. I told her about their antics and incest at the wedding. She questioned Alex. Is what I said true? Looking at his evasive eyes, Lily understood. You haven't changed after all these years. You believe everything you hear. Especially when there is a conflict between men and women. Your first choice is to side with men. In the past, a girl's underwear in the neighboring dormitory was stolen by a boy. Instead of blaming that boy, she scolded the girl for being immoral and not putting her underwear away properly. She said that hanging it on the balcony was deliberately seducing men to commit crimes. If washed clothes can't be dried on the balcony, then where should they be dried? In her quilt? Why don't you marry Alex? You two are quite a match. After all, itches and dogs are meant to be together forever. Mother Zhang glanced at her with disdain. How could a fat woman with pockmarks all over her face be worthy of her son? Exposed by me and publicly disdained by Mother Zhang. Her face darkened. She glared at me viciously and then quickly left. Mother Zhang also stopped pretending. She tore off her disguise and barked like a mad dog. You want to dump my son? No way. My son has wasted 6 years on you. You have to compensate him with at least 200 yuan for his wasted youth. Or add his name to the house your parents bought for you. Did you hear me? You dead girl? Don't pretend to be deaf. I looked at Alex. Is this also what he means? He didn't answer me directly. Instead, he changed the topic and looked pained. I don't believe you really don't love me anymore. Who else will be so good to you if you leave me? He played the emotional card with me. Unfortunately, I'm not buying it. He really has the nerve to say that once during my menstrual period. I drank a cup of iced coffee and was in so much pain that I couldn't get out of bed. He learned about it from my roommate and sent me a message asking me to go and pour myself a cup of hot water. Then he asked me to send him 50 yuan as his hard-earned fee for coming for nothing. Now when I think about it, I really want to strangle myself for being so love-struck back then. Every time for dinner, he would come to my dormitory building and look for me to eat together. He said that his family conditions were not good. I pitied him. So I paid for dinner. Thinking of all these behaviors before, I got angry. I exposed him as a gigolo. He spent my money in school. And when we went on dates after work, I also paid. Last year, on Christmas, he invited me to eat steak. When it was time to pay the bill, he said that his phone was out of power. He asked me to pay first and said he would transfer the money to me when he got home. In the end, nothing came of it. Now that his petty thoughts have been exposed by me, he is on the verge of a breakdown. Going out with you. I was aiming for marriage and having children. You called off the engagement first. It's only right that you compensate me. Outside the door, they were still barking. I brought a basin of water and splashed it on them. They left resentfully, leaving behind a threat of "we'll see." I didn't take it to heart. After all, everything that needed to be made clear has been said, and there is no financial entanglement between us. I began to devote myself entirely to work, planning to make a great achievement in my career. 77 at noon. My colleague Sui was lying and watching a live stream. Suddenly, she threw aside the pillow. "Coco, is this your ex-boyfriend?" Everyone gathered around to look, only to see Alex and them holding a banner and lit streaming at the bottom of my company building. On it was written, "Gold digger cheats on marriage for 300 yuan." Alex's mother was kneeling on the ground with tears streaming down her face and looking haggard. In her hand, she was holding my photo and saying that I am a liar. Before marriage, it was agreed that the betrothal gift would be 200 yuan. Their family had already given it. But on the wedding day, my family opened their mouths wide again and raised the price to 300 yuan. Otherwise, there would be no marriage. The old couple had no choice but to finally gather enough money with relatives and friends. But after I got the betrothal gift, I ran away with another man. We don't blame you for being with another man. Who can blame us for being poor? We just ask you to return the betrothal gift. This money is what we two old people have saved through a lifetime of frugality. On the day you ran away from the wedding, his father was so angry that he fainted. Now there are as many as 20 people in the live stream. Alex's voice choked up on the screen and said, "I'm sorry. It's all because I'm poor. If I had the ability to earn more money, there wouldn't be a chance for another man to take you away from me. I don't blame you for choosing someone else. As long as that person can bring you happiness, I'll be happy for you. Please return the 300 yuan betrothal gift to us. No, return 200 yuan will do." I underestimated his family. Every sentence doesn't blame me, but every word says that I am a fortune hunter. Moreover, they are spreading malicious rumors about me. Once a girl is labeled with malicious rumors, the public doesn't care about the truth. They will only condemn the girl. If the situation starts to reverse, they will still say that it must be because of your usual behavior problems. After all, flies don't bite seamless eggs. My colleagues also know the whole story and are all indignant on my behalf. What a despicable thing. Blaming others wrongly. Those who spread malicious rumors about girls will not die a good death. Some colleagues couldn't stand their reversal of black and white and wanted to go downstairs to vent my anger. I stopped then and already had a countermeasure in mind. 12 Soon my personal information was exposed by Human Flesh Search. I never thought that I would be on the hot search in this way in my life. I received a large number of unsightly messages on the social media backend. I somewhat suspect that some people have eaten too many additives, causing problems with their brains. Some people actually cried and said they felt sorry for Alex. This pure love warrior big boy. The caption read, "If a boy loves her so much, even if she lives in a thatched cottage, she should marry him. Material things can't bring happiness. Only love can make her feel happy." Well, this is hard to judge. I wish her success. I asked for a week's leave from the company to deal with this matter specifically. The leader also sympathized with my experience and approved it readily, seeing that the matter had fermented enough. I came to Alex's workplace and started a live stream in the same way. He is an English teacher in a certain primary school. I still remember that at that time, Alex's mother thought that her son had an iron rice bowl, and then looked down on me who worked in a foreign company. Openly and secretly, She didn't miss any chance to belittle me for climbing up to Alex. It's really ridiculous. Alex earns a little over 4,000 yuan a month, while I earn more than 8,000 yuan. But to maintain his little self-esteem, I never exposed it. Thinking about it now, all this was also tacitly approved by him. If he had defended me a little bit, I wouldn't have been sarcastically criticized every time. The barrage on the live stream was all full of insults to me. Some people even cursed me to die quickly. Alex came out of the school, accompanied by the director and the principal. They looked unhappy and frowned, urging him to solve his personal affairs quickly. The school gate is not a place for making trouble. Coco, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have made trouble at your unit. But this betrothal gift money is the savings of our whole family. Please return it to me. This year's Best Actor award might as well be given to him. He lies without blushing or having a guilty conscience. He is worthy of being called an old veteran actor. Are you sure you gave me 300 yuan as betrothal gift? You've really disappointed me. I didn't expect you to be such a woman. He didn't answer directly but changed the topic to try to control the situation. Did you give it or not? Of course. My parents and I went to your house and gave it. As long as he admits it. I took out my phone and dialed the police. Hello. Someone is blackmailing and extorting me. The amount involved is as high as 300 yuan. They are also maliciously spreading malicious rumors about me. A crack appeared on Alex's face. When he realized it, he reached out to snatch my phone. Fortunately, I was prepared this time and ran nimbly behind the principal. Robbery. Assault. Help. He didn't hold back his strength and slapped the principal. Immediately, the air became quiet. The netizens in the live stream boiled up, full of questions. Just called the police so straightforwardly? Is there a reversal? The follow-up investigation results will come out. I will publish them in written form. After saying this, I turned off the live stream. 13 It wasn't until the police took us all back to the police station that Alex finally knew he was afraid. Comrade police. I was just joking with my fiancée. I didn't expect her to take it seriously. We can solve it privately by ourselves and won't take up public resources. I waved my hand to deny my relationship with him, and took out the video of him slandering me in the live stream. Soon the police summoned Alex's father and mother. At first, they refused to admit it, and tried to avoid it by making a scene. The police are not vegetarians. They warned Alex's mother that if she continued like this, she would be detained on suspicion of obstructing official duties. She still didn't take it seriously and thought that the police were just scaring her. In her perception, as long as she didn't kill or set fire, it wouldn't be considered breaking the law. Alex's father was afraid. He immediately distanced himself from the responsibility, and said that starting the live stream and coming up with this idea were all the mother and son's idea. He didn't say a single word to slander me. None of this had anything to do with him. Alex's mother gave him a disdainful look and cursed that he was so cowardly. All little things scared him. Comrades, you be the judge. My son wasted 6 years of his youth on her. Anyway, her family is rich. Isn't it reasonable for her to compensate us a little? Now she calls the police for such a small matter. It's really beneath her. I've made things clear. It's getting late. I still have to go home and cook. The police told her seriously that maliciously spreading rumors has already violated the law. To avoid being detained, she must obtain the victim's forgiveness. Why won't you let me go? I just said a few words about her. You must have taken her money and be in cahoots with her. I will report you for abusing power for personal gain. The police asked her to be quiet, but she became even more excited. When Alex heard her saying more and more excessive things, he roared and told her to shut up. Finally, it became quiet around. Coco, I beg you, for the sake of our 6 years of relationship, forgive me this time. I really know I was wrong. I apologize to you. No, I kneel down to you. Please, let me off. My son is a public official who eats State food. Whoever comes has to give him some face. Well, now you are all ganging up on us. When Alex heard her say such things, his face turned pale in an instant. 14. You said, how did our 6 years of relationship come to this point? After all, I was naive. My parents said that after marriage, when there is time, they will add your name to the house and buy a 300 you on or so car for you to drive. It can only be blamed on our lack of fate. If your aunt hadn't made such a demeaning request, wouldn't we be on our honeymoon trip now? Alex widened his eyes and shook his head, muttering, how could this be? Alex's mother's face was also full of regret. By the way, my parents also said that since we will be a family in the future, they plan to buy a two-bedroom apartment for your parents around the community. Of course, all this is made up by me. Now he was completely broken down. He held his head in his hands and wept bitterly in regret. I didn't choose mediation. After all, people have to pay the price for what they have done. In the end, Alex was detained for 7 days for maliciously spreading rumors. Alex's mother was detained for 14 days for maliciously spreading rumors and obstructing police duties and compensated me with 5,000 yuan for mental damages. Alex shouted in there that he was wrong, and that he would definitely make it up to me after he came out. It's really ridiculous. How could I pick up the trash I threw away? The video content that I asked the photography brother for back then has finally come in handy. I posted the content of their vulgar remarks on me on the wedding day online. It aroused a lot of condemnation. Then I posted the judgment result. Some people exclaimed that this is the most satisfying big female-led story this year. The ugly faces of Alex's family made it to the top of the social news list. The public opinion began to reverse, and they reaped what they sowed. 15. After coming out, Alex's mother felt that it was Clara who had harmed them and couldn't swallow this breath. On the day of Alex's cousin's wedding, she said the same thing to the bride, emphasizing that this was the original words said by her mother-in-law. The bride's family had seen the scene of Clara making vulgar remarks on the internet and had thought about calling off the engagement. But because their daughter was unwilling to break up, they could only reluctantly agree. The prerequisite was that the two generations must live separately in the future. Unexpectedly, it was brought up again today, and they immediately felt ashamed. The bride tore off her veil and announced that the wedding was off. She went home with her parents. Clara was so angry that she started a fight with her. The good wedding turned into a farce. Some people spat at her and said she deserved it. Who told her to make vulgar remarks regardless of the occasion? Now the retribution has fallen on her. It can also be considered karma. In the end, Clara's husband divorced her because everyone saw the photo of the tramp kissing Clara. Her son went to be a live-in son-in-law at the woman's family in another place. To show his determination, he blacklisted and deleted her phone number and information. He promised that he would never have any contact with his mother again. The parents of students couldn't accept that their child's teacher is a person with bad conduct and casually spreads malicious rumors. They jointly reported Alex. In the end, he was fired. And this was recorded on his file. He has no chance to take civil service exams or enter government jobs for the rest of his life. Now it's hard to find a decent job. The property management sent a message. There is a man squatting outside my door every day. When I looked, it was Alex. Fortunately, the company established a new branch in another province last month. I signed up and transferred there. Now he has nothing. He can do anything. My parents retired last month. Now the two of them have started traveling around the country. Around the country. Around the country. Around the country. Around the country.